This is awful news for the Boston Celtics as their star guard and forward Jaylen Brown will miss the remainder of the season with a torn ligament in his wrist. Jaylen's had a couple of injuries this year, little knickknacks that has kept him out for some time. This one being a major blow here as the Celtics look to make their playoff push. It is all on their star Jason Tatum, which I believe, by the way, I think Jason Tatum can shine under these type of circumstances. And what I do like about it is that, I think it better defines roles. I think Tatum needs to be your number one, and I think he has all the opportunity in the world to define that as clearly the one, like not just most nights the one, not just some of the time the one. I'm talking every night he is the number one option, and I think this injury to Jaylen Brown will just further solidify that going forward. That's if Jaylen Brown makes it back to that Celtics team next year. We've heard Danny Ainge speak multiple times about how he feels like he's failed that Celtics team. He's admitted that that team's not good enough to win big. And I'm thinking this offseason, Boston is going to make a big move. And I don't know if it involves Kemba or Jaylen Brown, but I'm assuming it involves one or the other. I would, this is me personally, I would trade Kemba. I've thought Kemba is just excess. I don't believe what the Celtics got going, they necessarily need Kemba Walker. But I get that Kemba Walker's his value has kind of come down a little bit. He's got 2 years left on his deal, about $72, $73 million in total. Who's going to take on that type of money for a guy who seemingly has a hard time staying on the court for entire seasons? So you might have to trade Jaylen Brown. And I know that's something you don't want to, but Jaylen Brown's stock is just higher than Kemba's is right now. It's easier to find a point guard. I'm not saying of Kemba's caliber, but a Terry Rozier caliber, who, by the way, is Kemba's replacement in Charlotte, and Charlotte seems to love what they got at a much cheaper price. Michael Jordan's like, if I could get like 8/10 of the player that Kemba was in Terry Rozier at a much cheaper price, I'll take it. We will see. I just hate it because I think that this means Jaylen Brown has a really good chance of getting moved. If it means bringing in a all-star caliber big. I don't know if Karl Anthony Towns will be on the market. I know Minnesota doesn't want to move off of him, but they are going under new ownership this year. So we shall see. Absolute bummer for that Boston Celtics fan base. And I brought up Danny Ainge earlier. I'll push back. I'll give him a little blame. I know he's been pretty hard on himself, but I will say this, though, in regards to the flaws of Danny Ainge. I just don't think you could do two things at one time. And too many years we saw Danny Ainge try to build picks. But honest to God truth, Jason Tatum is a once-in-a-generation type talent. And I mean that. I think Danny Ainge could have been more aggressive. And instead of trying to hold the Celtics' young nucleus accountable for winning more, but not really necessarily going all in on the entire roster, because that bench is not ready to win a championship. That Boston Celtic bench is not good enough to help a team win a championship. They're not. And for years, they've needed an athletic center that can play defense. I know Robert Williams is the guy that they went all in on. He's athletic. He ain't sound defensively, and he's young. He don't make enough plays on defense. Right now, today, he's not your guy. Now, maybe 2-3 years down the line, he could be your guy, but not today. What the Celtics are looking for is more or less a Willie Cauley-Stein, a DeAndre Jordan, someone like that, a veteran who's got some years, some milk under the nose. You need something like that versus trying to use the athletic big who's more concerned with getting lobs and scores on offense than he is with blocks on defense. Tristan Thompson this offseason was an absolute fail. That was not the answer for Boston as they now look to figure it out, heading towards a play-in situation, and they'll do so without Jaylen Brown.